Okay, good afternoon. I'm going to speak in English. I understood that there is maybe some translation, but I also understood that all of you speak perfect, well English. If I'm not speaking clear enough, please give me a sign and I speak slower. I'm talking to you about a field that might look very remote, space. But I hope if you have one takeaway from this presentation is then you go home and say, wait a moment, maybe I can do something in space. And because space is not at all as far away. If you go to east of Slovakia, any bigger cities, I think the second largest city is somewhere in the east, it is further away than space to you now. Space is geographically very close. And second, space is even technologically super close now to most of you. If you are in a business, if you are in any engineering or scientific field, and you are in the automotive sector, in the mining, in the biomedical sector, you most likely have already something like 70% of what it takes to also be in the space sector. And that is something that is not yet well known, because there's still this image of this is rocket science, this is far away, this is for the nerds of NASA in Houston. But this is not, and this is no longer the reality of the space sector. Space is one of the fastest growing sectors because it is fueled by economic interest and by governmental interest. And Slovakia has joined the European Space Agency a few years ago. And my co-speaker on this panel will tell you all about it. And I'm quite sure that one of their motivations was to make sure that Slovakia can fully benefit from the opportunities that space can bring. And these are tangible communities. There is one big disadvantage that we have in the space sector is it is invisible. You don't see the thing. You might see some images from space, but space is in all your pockets, in all mobile phones. Space is in your day-to-day data stream. Space is in your supply chains. And in most cases, you're not really aware of it. So that is already more than I should speak for the introduction slide, and I have way too many slides probably, so I will go through some of them a bit faster. But if there is one takeaway, I say it again, please have a closer look again at the space sector. Your company, your institute, you might have a solution that we need for the space sector in Europe, and that the Slovak society, Slovak government might need you to contribute to this, to their objectives. So the European Space Agency is, I understood, not necessarily the most well-known entity in this conference. So just a few words. It was created in '75. We have now 22 member states, 4 associated, 1 cooperating state. An annual budget a bit above 7 billion, and we implement about 60% of the total European space budget. So we are a quite significant player in the European space sector. And this space sector is undergoing a really substantial change. It is no longer just putting man on the moon and bringing him back safely. This is a dynamic sector that has loads of scientific, but also loads of commercial opportunities to offer. We see private actors doing things that a few years ago only governments could afford because they were too risky, they were too difficult. We see an industrialization of how we do space. Until not so long ago, every satellite was essentially a handmade Rolls-Royce. That was each part different, everything different. Now we make satellites in series, much cheaper. We have very different production processes, and there is real competition also on the space segment. And yes, we see also again a renewed space race. This time it's more between the US and China. But we in Europe, we have our big assets in space. We need to assure our place in space, that to have full benefits what space can offer. And this is pervasive. Just to tell you, it's European satellites which deliver most of the data for the global climate models. It is space for security, space for energy, and digital connectivity, competitiveness, connectivity, autonomy. So there is plenty of dynamic opportunities to take in space. And there is also plenty of governmental money because this is still a highly strategic sector. And as you see there, most of the public investment is still in the US. The US is the most attractive market in space. Clearly, both the Chinese and the Russian investments are underreported there because of the purchasing power of the currency. But Europe is a sizable, and Europe is an integrated player. We have integrated European supply chains. We have European champions globally. And we have the advantage of a diverse European landscape where Slovakia can play its full role and should play its full role. But for this, it requires industry, it requires academia to also know about it, to also engage about it. And the next slide is an example of how you could engage via ESA into the space sector. I don't think I have time to go into this slide in any detail, and therefore I'm going to focus only on the left part of this slide. If you have any ideas, you don't need to know much about space. If you have any ideas saying this is something that could be of interest to the space sector, there is a simple way of letting us know, and this is this discovery element under this URL, ideas.esa.int. We welcome ideas from anybody at any moment, and you get an answer to it. You typically get connected to an expert who tells you, look, this is maybe interesting, this we have already tried, it doesn't work. So please use this. Submit your ideas to the ESA R&D pipeline. If it is not suitable, we will also tell you. And use your Slovakian Space Agency. Use their expertise. And if you have something that you have maybe some ideas and you don't yet want to let ESA know by submitting it there, go to them. They are there for you to help you finding your way into the space sector. What we try with this platform is to have a permanently open call. We can give relatively quick, small R&D contracts on novel ideas, research proposals, some small system studies. But for this, we need to have the good ideas because they are in competition with all other ideas coming from Europe. But at the moment, we have way too few ideas coming from Slovakia for, I think, the simple reason that you don't know about it yet. That's why I'm happy to be at this conference where I can speak to some of you. you might not yet have considered going into the space sector, looking how your solution, how your technologies, how your ideas could benefit from space technology, or how you could contribute to the needs that we have in the space sector. And we also tell you on this platform, from time to time we have these calls, we have real problem to do that and that. Or in this field we are looking for completely new ideas, because what we do at the moment, we are sure that there are better ways of doing it. And then please look at this, tell it to your colleagues, to your business friends, business partners, maybe team up with companies in other European countries, and submit your idea. It is a first entrance that is very low threshold into the space R&D pipeline. The fastest from idea submission, which is really just a title, an illustration, a picture, and an abstract of 200 words, up to getting a contract from ESA, is 100 days. So it is relatively fast if you can be fast. You don't require any big formalities there. It is relatively low funding levels, but it is an entry, and it can give you further opportunities to discuss with experts in ESA and connect with industries in other ESA member states. This is the process. In the last 4 years, we got about 3,500 ideas, and that led to about 650 or so contracted activities. Only 2 from Slovakia so far, and that's clearly not enough. We all can agree on this, I think. So I take this opportunity to motivate you. Please, we need all smart European brains to help us having in Europe as much benefit from this fast developing space sector as the US and China get out of space. And for this we need your ideas, your brains, your competences. So please, space is not far away, space is very close, and it is much easier accessible than you might think. And there are some useful links, and with this I hand over to the Slovak Space Office. If there are any questions, I'm around for another maybe 15-20 minutes after his presentation.
Thank you very much, that's all.